Welcome to CAI Report. My name is Stephen Shuey. The Community Associations Institute is the organization of homeowners associations throughout the United States. There's about 250,000 communities throughout the USA and about 16,000 right in California. You're watching us now throughout Southern California, which is kind of awesome for us. We're glad to be able to present to you some educational topics that will help you understand community living a little bit better. Today I want to talk some more about landscaping, and to do that I've brought in once again Rick Crisp from Bemis Landscaping. Rick, thanks for joining us once again.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Glad to have you here. You know, we were talking last time you were with us about your background. You've been in it now, what, since 1976? You started as a young buck
right,
doing this stuff, and even Bemis Landscaping's been in it for over 30 years.
1976.
We've got an expert here who understands the landscaping issues and primarily those relationship issues, which I think are critically important as we started to talk about the last time we got together. There's so much to deal with on landscaping, I thought it would be good for all of us to sit back and listen some more about the intricate details of what goes on between the board, the manager, and the landscaping contractor, and what part the homeowners who live there play in all of this. It's kind of interesting. You know, I was interested in the fact that we were off camera for a while, and you were talking about the fact that the contractor almost picks and chooses his association. What's that all about?
We have to qualify the project. I mean, the project depends on what kind of lawsuits or what kind of history they have. Have the landscapers been, I mean, have there been 5 landscapers in 3 years? Red flag. And also we need to qualify in reference to increases in homeowner dues. I mean, do you believe it, Steve? Some of the boards actually brag about, we haven't raised our dues in 10 years. Big problem.
Well, you know, I've heard that myself,
and
it's amazing to me how they don't realize that to keep up with the economic times, you simply have to have dues in place to help pay for the amenities that these projects have.
Suicide. It's suicide if you don't, and that's where the education and knowledge comes in.
So you're saying you qualify the association, you look at things like their history, have they had lawsuits and stuff. So what I'm hearing, if I understand you correctly, is you don't want to deal with the association who's in trouble.
No, because what's going to happen, they're going to draw us into it and they're going to lay blame. Even if, I mean, I'm not saying that all contractors are innocent, because there are some bad contractors out there. But I know what my company does, and I want to know, where has this board gone? Where has this association done into actually dealing with the project honestly? Or do they just say, let's blame it on the landscaper?
Well, of course, let's face it, if the grass doesn't grow right, it's not my fault. We have to blame somebody.
Exactly, exactly.
But you know, what you're telling me, I've heard this before, it isn't just your company. All the landscape companies, all the contractors who service homeowners associations are now looking at the history of the association, and what I've heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, it has to do with the fact that you guys put a lot of money into startup to get an association online, get the equipment together, the personnel together. Just hiring a maintenance contractor is like expensive, isn't it?
Well, Steve, think about this, especially in Coachella Valley. Just, I know CAI, we service throughout the United States, wonderful organization. But right now I want to talk about Coachella Valley.
Okay.
Do you realize what the cost of overseeding and scalping and overseeding a lawn is on an annual basis?
That happens only in the Coachella Valley. It's thousands and thousands of dollars.
Absolutely. I mean, you're looking at $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. I bid a project or submitted a proposal for a project that their overseeding and renovation loan was $67,000.
Wow.
And it's an important issue.
Yep.
I mean, that's big time money.
And if it takes that much to do it, your preparation, your cost to prepare for that is expensive also.
The equipment, we have to purchase that equipment. We have to maintain that equipment. I mean, one certain size aerator or one certain size renovator, we're talking $300,000.
Wow.
So that's not a small investment. So when we talk about qualifying, we want to know, is that association willing to establish that long-term relationship? If you've had 5 landscapers in 3 years, I really don't want to be a part of that, especially if something as expensive as renovation and overseeing on an annual basis occurs.
Well, yeah, I guess you don't want to go in there and find out a year later you're out the door and the next guy's coming in.
Right, and what do I do with this large piece of equipment that only fits this one project?
Right.
And you have to hire and fire, and it's just
so then, okay, but mistakes are made. I mean, even the best of companies, your company, I'm sure, makes mistakes occasionally. And what I'm hearing from the various associations is we change landscapers because we can't seem to get them to do the job right. What's the problem there? How's that happening? Is that because somebody's not listening or somebody's not talking?
Well, that means somewhere, not only do we qualify the association, but they need to qualify us.
Ah, so it works both ways.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's interesting, when I'm in a presentation and I'm competing against a competitor, and ethically you can't say, you know, this guy is not the guy for you, and go look at this project. But it would be wonderful to say, let me see the references they gave you, but let me show you the references you need to go look at. And I think that associations, boards in particular, forget to qualify landscapers like that.
Well, I think, so the landscaper gets qualified, and I would assume that in most associations, because they're professionally managed these days, we're seeing a lot of that now, they have in fact gone out and looked at their landscaper, they found the landscapers on track. The landscaper at the same time, and not necessarily advertising it, he's checking out the association to find out what kind of association we're dealing with here. They come to terms on things. The homeowners who live in the community have really very little to do with all that. They don't get involved in the contractual relationship. Right. In fact, most of those contractual discussions are done in closed session. And then the homeowner is just not happy. And the thing that what we're trying to get to here is we need something to educate them, don't we?
Oh, we do. We do. We need to encourage them to be involved. We need to encourage them to get involved with, it would be wonderful to see the individual homeowners get involved with CAI.
Yeah.
A tremendous amount of education. If they would just go to a few meetings or a few events, they would see there's a lot to learn out there. And it would help me ease my mind.
Yep. As you can see, there's a lot we're talking about with landscaping, and I'd like to take a short break here and let our sponsors have a bit of time so they're the ones who are paying for all this, and then we'll come back and we'll talk further about how the individual homeowners are involved with the landscaping process. Stay tuned.
CAI Report is brought to you by Bright & Clean Windows. Trust Southern California's favorite window cleaning company to provide consistent, quality window cleaning service to your home and office. Let Bright & Clean Windows make you look great by removing hard water stains from windows and shower door enclosures and by cleaning windows and mirrors to a gleaming shine. Call 346-9274. And by Diamond Fusion, a patented award-winning technology that transforms ordinary shower glass and porcelain into low-maintenance surfaces, used by manufacturers like DuPont and by homeowners and resorts to maintain a clean image and save money while making life easier by making cleaning easier. Call 773-2825.
This is Mary Howell with the law firm of Epstein, Grinnell & Howell. With 3 Southern California locations and 20 attorneys, we offer prompt legal advice to homeowners associations. We can help you build a better neighborhood. Give us a call.
Epstein, Grinnell & Howell, helping you survive a legal sea of change.
Welcome back. You're watching the CAI Report. My name is Stephen Shuey. I'm here today with Rick Crisp from Bemis Landscaping, and we're talking about the issues. We've been talking about how the board interfaces with the landscaper during the contractual phase, the fact that the contractor actually investigates the association to make sure they're qualified to be the kind of association that a contractor wants to deal with. What a big issue that is. Tremendous. And then, as of course, we touched on the fact that sometimes contractors get fired for no reason whatsoever, and I wanted to really touch on how can we prevent that from happening. It's the homeowners that live in these communities, it's their individual homes that are getting landscaped a lot of times, along with all these common areas that are getting landscaped. They're the ones we have to satisfy, but what is that homeowner to do when they're not satisfied, when it looks like the landscaper's just not doing the job right?
They need to get involved with the board. They need to go to the homeowners meetings, and they need to notify the board or the landscape chair or who that designated person will be. I mean, managers are not, they can't see everything. They need those residents to be involved. I mean, come on, it's the residents association.
Yeah, okay, so the sprinkler breaks, shoots a geyser of water up in the air. the typical homeowner is calling in saying, why don't you guys see these things? The fact is we're not there every day, but the homeowner is.
Well, one of the things that in scheduling a project, especially the size of most associations, I mean, if you have 2,000 homes, you cannot be in every spot every day. Yeah. When I do a project, I try to complete what's called a rotation in a month period of time. So you may not be back in that area except to pick up trash and mow the lawn for 30 days. It just economically, I mean, we'd be out of business.
Okay, so the guy who does the inspection work, who follows up to see that the crews are doing the right job, is the guy who's not there every day, because he's checking on all the crews. So I think what I'm hearing is you really are depending on the individual homeowner to play their part. Their role in the entire landscaping project is to kind of be that inspector, and I would hope that they would compliment the landscaping on occasion.
You would hope.
That would be nice. But when they do see a problem, a true problem that exists, they've got to let somebody know.
Absolutely.
And don't wait for them to come by and inspect it and see that it's not working correctly.
Not only is it critical, but you're talking about property damage.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking. I mean, if one irrigation head broken irrigation head is left unabated for a week, I mean, potential of water intrusion.
Oh yeah.
You know, mold. If the sprinkler is out of alignment and it's going to hit the stucco, we all know what that does to.
Yeah, we do now.
We do now.
It's become a big issue.
Mold is a really big problem, and that's a lot of damage. That's expense, and so many times, it's. I mean, we've been taking responsibility to repair those issues based on, rather than deal with the bad PR.
Yep.
It's not our fault, but that's the way it goes.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the point I want to bring home to everybody who's watching today, and that is to understand your part in this is to stay in touch with your board of directors and the landscape committee. And then also, if a problem comes up, I take it you're saying they could call the landscape company directly to say, we've got a problem with a broken sprinkler here, or do they still have to call the manager to get that attended?
Manager is key because we want to keep it on one smooth level.
Okay.
The manager needs to know. They
need to call the manager and make sure that that point is brought home, that this is my address, give them the full information, get the problem fixed.
Right.
And then, I guess, saying it correctly, if it's not fixed that day or the next day, put a second call in, because it could be that the message got dropped, that there's a problem there. In other words, don't wait for somebody else to find the problem. If you see the problem, get it taken care of.
Key.
That's part of the coordinated effort, I think, of teamwork. We've said in our show many times before where we expect this whole situation to be a team effort. The manager, the board of directors, the contractor who services the association, and the homeowners are all on the same team. In order to be on the same team, we all have to be players on the team. And I think that's what I'm trying to say. Stay involved that way. Now, if a homeowner wants a particular kind of landscaping, what do you recommend they do at that point?
If they really want something that is not existing in the palette, that's on site, then they need to get involved with the board again, get involved with the landscape committee, and present their ideas. And I'm sure that any board of directors would be pleased to see the involvement of the residents, because it really helps their job. I mean, they want to please the residents. I mean, they're residents themselves, so they want it makes it just for a fuller, complete team.
But talking to the guy mowing the lawn or talking to his supervisor is not really going to get him very far, is it?
It can't. I mean, we can't do anything about that. I mean, we cannot go in and replace something or do something for individual home, because we're the ones that are going to get in trouble for that, or we're going to get reprimanded, or we're going to get, it's going to be not very cost effective, I guess, I'm trying to say.
And you don't make those decisions anyway.
We do not.
That's really the board's decision.
And the landscape committee.
Yep.
You know, and actually the landscape committee will recommend to the board, and the board makes the final decision.
Yeah. You know, you talk about sprinklers causing issues. It's interesting. What I'm seeing a lot of, and fortunately it's being caught quite well, is that the sprinklers get turned ever so slightly and sprinkle onto that stucco. Or if there's a low window, that window gets all the water spotting on it, you know, and who's at fault there? Yeah, it's the landscapers at fault there.
You bet.
And I take it those are the kind of things that if you hear about them, you can get them taken care of fairly quickly.
All reputable companies have what's called irrigation tax. Even if we're not on site that day, just, I mean, today's communication. I mean, it's impossible to.
Two-way radios.
It's amazing.
Telephones.
Everybody has cell phones and electronic communications. I mean.
So getting a problem solved isn't that difficult.
No.
A phone call to the manager makes the phone call to the landscape contractor's repair department or service department, and then within a few moments, a radio call is made out to a crew that's scheduled to get out and to get it taken care of.
Right. And if they're nearby at another project, they're not even going to, in most situations, they won't even charge you for that.
Wow.
If it was just a few minute drive away.
It's a routine service call.
Yes, it's not a big issue. Yeah. And it really cuts off the complaints in the long run.
Yeah. Do you find times when the homeowners get involved in the landscaping, where they're out there tilling the land or planting their own flowers? Does that cause a problem with the landscape companies?
It does. It does. The guys in the field, the crews, they're not trained to go up and deal with saying, no, we can't do this. They're explaining. So it's difficult for them sometimes to say no. But please remember, as a homeowner and a resident, if our crews are talking to you, we're not doing our job, which is beautifying your community.
Right.
So and you're actually cheating the entire situation, the entire association, when you take that individual time up with that landscaper.
Wow. Pretty important stuff here. Interesting how all this ties together in the part that you as the individual homeowner play in the issue. When we come back, I want to touch a little further on that relationship with the board and the landscape contractor and how the manager interfaces with that. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
CAI Report is brought to you by Bright and Clean Windows. Trust Southern California's favorite window cleaning company to provide consistent, quality window cleaning service to your home and office. Let Bright and Clean Windows make you look great by removing hard water stains from windows and shower door enclosures and by cleaning windows and mirrors to a gleaming shine. Call 346-9274. And by Diamond Fusion, a patented award-winning technology that transforms ordinary shower glass and porcelain into low-maintenance surfaces, used by manufacturers like DuPont and by homeowners and resorts to maintain a clean image and save money while making life easier by making cleaning easier. Call 773-2825.
Are you getting the most out of your banking relationship? At Community Association Bank, we exclusively serve community associations and professional management companies, saving you time by handling your banking transactions at your office. Community Association Bank. One bank, multiple options, maximum returns.
Alante Insurance Services is a leader in serving the HOA community for over 20 years, offering homeowners association insurance, fidelity bond insurance, earthquake insurance, employee benefits insurance. We provide the fully integrated service TOPS, providing the optimum protection service. Alante Insurance Services, a division of Millennium Corporate Solutions.
Welcome back. You're watching the CAI Report. My name is Stephen Shuey, and I'm here today with Rick Crisp from Bemis Landscaping. We've been talking about the individual homeowners' involvement in the whole landscape picture, the fact that they don't deal with the landscapers directly when they're association landscapers. They deal with the management team or with the board of directors or a committee of the board, and then those committees or managers then deal with the landscape company. That is so critical. And you know, the last thing we said as we broke away was that the individual homeowner tying up the time of the workman in the field to talk about landscape issues is cheating the entire association of that man's time. So I thought those were really important points to recap on. You know, now we're going to talk a little bit about that relationship again with the contractor, the manager, and the board. And I'm going to ask a bit about how do you make that all work?
Through communication, through make sure that it's streamlined. But you know, Steve, I've been anticipating and dying to ask you a question.
Okay.
I want to take advantage of my my time here and put something to you. How do you feel, and what is it? How do you feel about the contractor, and how do you feel? Just your feedback on if I come to you and give you a report on a regular basis about what's going on, or give you that phone call that says this is happening, or give you monthly reports to tell you where we are and where we're going. How do you feel about a contract that will do that?
You know, I have to tell you, Rick, I think that's a marvelous idea. When we talk about quality control of a situation, and the landscaping being one of the, as we said earlier, one of the biggest parts of the whole picture of a community, I do need to know what's going on. I need to know what the crew in the field has found and what the changes are they may recommend to us so that they can get things done. If a plant is dying and it's because it's diseased, I don't want to find out from the homeowner who says, would you get that dead plant out of here? I'd much rather your team comes in and says, by the way, Steve, here's some conditions we're seeing. So yes, that communications thing is critical to me. I kind of have to empathize with those managers that have multiple communities where if they get inundated with the guys' calls and day-to-day reports, that might be a bit overbearing. But I think a periodic report like you're talking about is essential to have happen.
Oh, it is. I remember back in the mid-80s, and managers have become so much more qualified, so much more professional. I remember dealing with managers that weren't quite, well, let's just call them less than spectacular. And when I would call or I would send a report, it was really a pain for them because it just added more to their workload, and they didn't want to deal with it. So times have changed. However, there are still situations where that does occur, but there are so few and far between now.
Yeah, I know that when it comes to communications, that is so important. I had a situation with a contractor in a community that I managed where I was asked by the board to let that contract go, and but the contract supervisor came to me and said, well, why weren't we aware these problems existed? And I felt guilty about that, but it was because of a lack of communication. I was depending on getting a hold of the supervisor. For whatever reason, we weren't talking frequently enough to be aware of the issues. I even found that times were when he would call me and say, how's it going? He caught me at a moment when things were wonderful, so I'd say they're just fine. But then the very next day or the next week, I had a real issue with that department, and I couldn't get a hold of him. So regular communication between the contractor and the board, the contractor and the manager is just, I think, is essential to making sure that you have that team effort working.
Right.
It's the same thing applies, I think, with the individual homeowners talking to the board, sharing with them that they really appreciate the fact that the landscaping is going well, or if there is a problem, making them aware of it before it becomes an irritation. I think that the continuous communication is what works in all of our communities these days.
And I think that the contractor needs to be involved not only with the manager to communicate, but go to those board meetings at least quarterly to talk with the board, to get that feedback, because we can help ease the pain of the struggles that you as a manager go through by saying, this isn't Steve's fault. This is what's going on. This is why your plants are dying, because we have a soil deficiency, and by the way, you need to okay that proposal we gave you to take care of it.
And you can give them that technical side that I as a manager couldn't give them quite as adequately.
And you're not expected to know that.
Right.
I mean, we're the professionals. We need to share that with you. And if we all look at it as as I've been saying, as a team, as a complete, educated, well-informed team that communicates, it's a win-win situation.
Yep, it's amazing how important that is.
Oh, it's critical.
And the homeowners play such an important role in that, the board members, and these board members today are getting more educated. Thanks to CAI and organizations like ours, where people can go and get the education from people like yourselves who give seminars. Throughout the Southern California area, the CAI chapters have monthly meetings, most of them are monthly, where you as a homeowner can go to that meeting. It's very inexpensive. A lot of times it's a meeting over breakfast or over lunch where you can hear a qualified speaker talk on topics like we're talking about today on this TV show. It's a worthwhile organization, and it's a great education.
Steve, and for a homeowner, and I know that especially if the seniors, you're on a restricted income, there's tons of vendors out there that will even sponsor you, that will pay your way to these meetings, the breakfasts. So, I mean, any opportunity, being in marketing, any opportunity I've got to put my name out there, that's a wonderful thing. Call your vendors, call your landscapers, say, would you sponsor me to this? And
I guess I'm going to qualify that, because I don't think you want every homeowner on the block calling you, but certainly those that are involved on committees and involved on the boards.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Ask your committees, ask your boards if you can get involved.
I think the more that the individual homeowners are educated, the better the community is going to be. I think the homeowner who just constantly gripes and complains about how bad things are but doesn't want to do anything to help make suggestions on how it can be fixed doesn't help things out at all.
Oh, it makes it worse.
And certainly by stopping the landscape guy who's actually mowing the lawn and trying to get him to fix the problem when he's got a chore to do. Yep.
It's not going to work. It's just not going to work.
And here it goes. Boy, what an interesting topic just landscaping by itself is. You can get education on all the issues, all the facets of homeowner associations by getting involved with the Community Associations Institute. There's a chapter somewhere near you. You'll see some phone numbers show up at the end of our program on the screen, and you can make a phone call and find out more about how we can really be a benefit to you. I hope you enjoyed today's session regarding landscaping, and Rick, once again, thank you for being a part of the program. It's really been an education learning about your side of the contracting business here. I hope you'll join us next time when we have more educational information from the CAI. Thank you for joining us.